I'm back! No longer recording through my laptop. Thank God I managed to find another mic plug thing in my computer. My actual computer. So my voice is back. Anyways. I like that. Like, this is pretty novel and cool. Like, you throw jars of water in the lava, and they create a platform for you. Now, I'm not sure how the hell that's supposed to work. Considering, like, the water just instantly boil away when it falls into the lava. Or, what is that brown platform even made of? I guess it's magic. I mean, anything can really be explained as, it's a fantasy universe. A magical place where things don't always have to be realistic. Which is why Link has a limited inventory in Skyward Sword, because it would be unrealistic for him to carry all of his items. God, I hate that. You have these warp jars, which they can warp you to the next jar. And it's really convenient, you know, a very convenient concept. Like, this is the beginning of the dungeon, and this is basically the end. But you can only use them after you've blown up the thing covering the entrance to the one connecting to it, obviously. So, they're pretty much useless when you first find them. They're only useful to make backtracking easier. I think, like, Twilight Princess would streamline it even more by attaching the backtracking to an item. But when you had to backtrack through a dungeon, you'd still have to backtrack. Like, warping to the entrance would just make it take even longer. And there's a lot of backtracking in this dungeon after this point. Not too much, though. It could be worse. I really like it when this music plays. Like, it does a good job of making it feel epic, and, like, I just love this music in general. The flute and the violins and everything. Well, I say that, but it's all synthesized. None of it is real instruments, but to be honest, I couldn't care less that it's not real instruments. In fact, the HD version has an actual orchestra and stuff, and I feel like the music sounds really underwhelming there. It feels like the orchestra couldn't give less of a shit, and just had no passion at all when recording the music. Like, compare that to, say, one of the Mario and Sonic games at the Olympics. Like, the Sochi Olympics, I think it was. The best one. They had music that was actually good and passionate and made you like it, even though it was a real orchestra. Oh my god. They actually keep the green rupee in the air while you're... Wow. I love glitches like that. But anyways, I like the instruments that they use. Like, I always thought when I was a kid that they were real instruments. And to this day, I guess I just prefer the synthesized instruments. It's not just nostalgia, it's also that I just don't care when I... Like, even one of the best themes in the game, the boss of the Wind Temple, its theme was completely mangled in the HD version. Like, I was so disappointed when I heard it. I'm not opposed to remixes in general. Like, when I hear remixes of songs in Generations, I usually think they're much better than the original. And, like, when I heard the remix of Radical Highway, the classic remix, I loved it. I thought it was much better than the original. Even though I have a whole childhood's worth of nostalgia with Radical Highway. Oh. You see, the reason that I didn't immediately have the targeting red kill go up there was because for some reason they decided to invert the controls. And I had trouble again. Up is not up. Up is down. And down is up. And I'm pretty sure it's reversed with the left and right too. What? I don't quite remember. I just don't understand why they thought that was a good idea. Every time that you grab onto one of those things with a grappling hook, you have to watch the animation. But I think it's pretty satisfying watching it. I wish it was faster, but... I haven't talked much about the swinging controls in this game. This is something that I will actually give the HD version. It's much better in the HD version, because you can turn while you're moving with the vines, or not the vines, the ropes. In the HD version, you can turn while you're swinging. In this game, you just have to stop by holding the R button. I love it when those guys hang off those things and you can just make them fall. Video game cruelty potential. And something I really love about the grappling hook, and my favorite feature, is you can steal items with it. Ah! I hate that! I hate how they think it's a good idea to make you constantly be able to trip the monsters and they fall on their face. And sure, it looks amusing, but it's not very fun when you're playing the actual game. And then you have to wait for a couple seconds every time it happens before you're allowed to actually do anything again. Why can't there be a finishing blow? Why can't you just attack the enemies at all times? I don't think that's very good design. Just constantly having to wait for no reason. Yeah, I accidentally cut the recording too early, so I didn't get to show it off, but that was a joy pendant. I don't know why they decided that putting joy pendants in treasure chests is a good idea. Like, and it's not just in this dungeon where there's a million bokoblins. It's also in, like, the Forest Haven dungeon. I don't know why they... And the most insulting thing of all is, they actually play the "you got a really important item" theme when you open a treasure chest that has joy pendant in it. And then you just get something that you can get from any old bokoblin, and you're like, what? Sound design! I don't think, like, it's always a massive disappointment when I get a joy pendant in a chest, because it's like, this is just one joy pendant, and not to mention the fact that I had to sit through the chest opening animation, and the text. I really like that silly animation, like when you fall into lava. It's a lot less overly bleak and depressing than the much more realistic lava falling animation that Twilight Princess has. That's about enough to give kids nightmares. And I actually decided to fall into lava on purpose there the first time, just to show it off. Because I figured, well, I haven't shown it off yet, so I should. But yeah, the vine swinging controls, I keep saying that, but you never actually swing on vines. And like, you just swing on a rope, or a rope from the grappling hook that magically extends to be as long as you want it to be. Making you wonder why it can't be as long as you want it to be, instead gets short sometimes. Like, I don't know. The point is, the swing controls are not very good at all. I don't know why you have to stop. Like, it seems like something that's just there to annoy you and break the pace. Speaking of annoying you, I hate these enemies. I think the best way to deal with them is to attack them with a vertical slice, where you just stand there, you stand still while targeting it, and you just press the B button. It's so tedious getting these things onto that switch. But anyways, I think that is the one enemy in the game that forces you to use a vertical slice specifically. Like, with Skyward Sword, it's every enemy that forces you to attack in a very specific way. And so you have to always constantly stop and wait for it to open, like give it an opening. And it just slows the combat to a screeching halt. But in this game, thankfully, for the most part, you could just use any attack against the enemies that you want. You could spam the spin attack if you want to. Like in this game, it doesn't matter whether you use the vertical or horizontal slice, which is especially good because it's hard to remember how to do specifically a vertical slice or a horizontal one. Like with a vertical one, you just stand still. And, like, you thrust by... I don't care. I don't care about any of that. Because they don't do as much damage as... Like, they don't do very much damage compared to the spin attack, which doesn't even deal much to begin with. And seriously, I hate these enemies. The stupid, annoying black mandibles that prevent you from attacking them. I guess parry attacking is your best shot, but the thing is that the timing for the parry attack for these guys is so tight. Like, it adds challenge, but it makes it very tedious to fight. And like, I hated that room with the room where I first talked about the water jars, because it had that enemy there on a tiny platform, and he just got in the way. Like, you're trying to jump onto that platform so that you can throw the water jar and then jump onto the platform. But if that enemy attacks you, then you'll drop the jar and it'll explode and you'll have to do it again. And it's not like you can attack him from a distance with the grappling hook or anything. So it's a very cheaply placed enemy. The symbols on the pearls are actually the same symbols representing the songs you can play on the Harp of Ages and Oracle of Ages. So that's an interesting fact. Another interesting fact is that if you stand here long enough without the boss appearing, then the Gossip Stone will activate and the King of Reliance will actually tell you that there is danger afoot. I don't think I actually saw that. That's pretty amusing. Yeah, look, this is a pretty creative boss, although it's pretty repetitive at the beginning of it, because you're just doing the same thing over and over again. Like, I like that cutscene, like, that's pretty amusing. I don't like how long you arbitrarily have to wait. Oh, I guess if you grappling hooked right away, and you're able to do it, then you get crushed by the floor that he brings up to the ceiling. So it's good that they arbitrarily don't let you do it then. And I like the boss music in this game. I especially like how they actually bother to have different boss music depending on which boss you face. I think they actually do away with that in Skyward Sword, which is really disappointing. Since Link is left-handed, he incorrectly holds the Wind Waker in his left hand. But despite this, he still uses the baton to adjust what time to play in, and his free hand to signal the pitch, just like a real conductor would. And Kubali, the postman that later gets hired to work behind the counter at Dragon Roost Island, was designed after the postman from Majora's Mask, but he couldn't possibly be related to him due to the timeline thing. Like, that makes sense because, like, the postman from Majora's Mask was from Termina, another dimension, so there's no way that he could be related to that guy specifically. This is where the boss actually becomes a challenge. Basically, you have to hit the eye with the grappling hook to bring it towards you. But the grappling hook loves to randomly decide not to go far enough at plenty of different times, in fact. So you gotta keep that in mind. But after you get to him, after you get him up to you, you can just spam the spin attack and win really quickly. So that's good. It's a fun boss. It's not especially frustrating, except for all times when he can attack you at this point in time. There are platforms above the arena with, I think they have jars with hearts in them. I think that's the point to them being there. And I really like landing in the lava while I'm swinging towards the, like, while I'm swinging with a grappling hook. Like, it's pretty funny. Like, you pull the dragon's tail like you're supposed to do, and then you fall into lava in the middle of a cutscene. And because it's a boss fight, they don't force you to restart the entire thing if you fall in the lava, which is really good. Instead, they just, like, they don't respawn you at the beginning of the dungeon. God, no, at the beginning of the dungeon, like, at the beginning of the room. Like, they don't do that. They just make you get hurt by the lava, and that's it. Which makes me wish that they did that for the entire game. And, like, you can't say it's unrealistic because, one, it's a fantasy game, and two, Super Mario World, like Super Mario 64, when you fall in the lava in that game, you just get sent upwards by the lava, and you can still continue with the rest of the level. So why can't you do that in this cartoony game? I guess Zelda is too realistic for that. No, you need to respawn at the entrance of the room, perfectly alive, because that's realistic. It's especially enjoyable when they call you moron, when it's the only word they say, so it really does feel like they're insulting you. Breath of the Wild doesn't let you name your character at all. And that's because of the voice acting in all the cutscenes. Like, there'd be a disconnect if you named your character something, but no one in the cutscenes actually calls you that name. And that really sucks because it takes away most of the fun of playing a Zelda game, where you can name him whatever you want. And in Link Between Worlds, you can't name your character a swear. So, again, that also takes away some of the fun of naming him. And kind of misses the point, to be honest. In the second quest of the game, you can actually understand what all of the characters who use weird writing are saying. And he basically says, "Oh hero, thank you for saving me. Oh hero, use the wind god's wind." That's basically all that he says. I'm not even paraphrasing with that last one. It's very simplistic. Jaban and Valu later on in the game, they say very spoilerific things though, so I don't think I'll be talking about... Well, I say that, but I'm not really caring too much about spoiling the game. Like, I don't know. So, here the boat is having a very long conversation with you while you're swimming with a limited air meter. Nothing could possibly go wrong here.